Calling the meeting of the Clear Creek County Board of County Commissioners to order. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Is there anyone online?
If you are online and would like to provide a comment, please raise your hand. Not seeing hands. Everybody online is staff, so.
Okay, thank you. Closing public comment. Just want to note one agenda change. We will be moving item 3B, consideration of approval of a letter from Board of County Commissioners to Colorado Transportation Investment Office to an executive session after we go over all the goals for the county. Thank you. And moving on to the action session, consent agenda, consideration of approval of memorandum of understanding between Gateway Partnership of Early Childhood and Clear Creek County. Do I have a motion to approve that?
Do you mind stating on the record that you're polling B?
I just did. I said I'm moving B to after the discussion of county division goals.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion is approved. Now we're moving on to the Board of County Commissioners regular session, work session, county division goals.
Thank you, Chair. So this is part 2 from our workshop from last 2 weeks ago now, on getting to y'all's goals. You saw staff. I sent you guys a packet with the revised goals based on your comments that we received during that work session for us. Staff is getting pretty close to, I think, full capacity. So any additional stuff that wasn't on that list that's coming from y'all, we'd just like to engage in a conversation on how to prioritize it and what the expectation is for those. But I would like to start individually with each one of you, starting with the chair on what your goals are.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My department goals, one is get our finances in order. I would prefer not to use up our reserves during my term in office. As we've all discussed, this is nothing surprising. Like to get our extraneous buildings sold and off the books for all the capital expenses we have. I would like to update our IT systems and make them more efficient. I'm working on, as is George and Jody, we keep seeking state support to help reduce the burden on Clear Creek emergency services due to I-70 traffic volume. I would like to get a robust Clear Creek Regional Housing Authority up and running so our county can attract more families and workers. I'd like to improve security on both sides of the courthouse. And those are my top 4 goals. Thank you.
So I think largely we are going to include the security assessment and the facility assessment when it comes back to the board. We actually are meeting with the real estate group for offloading, beginning the process of selling the buildings tomorrow. So those are largely already reflected in my goals and Matt's internal services.
Right.
Housing authority, we're mostly at this point the long range planner, which when they come on board will provide support to the board on that. But largely the capacity in which the staff is currently supporting is to be the fiduciary on the grant from the state.
Yep.
Obviously that's an ongoing conversation. So once that person is on board, they can provide more staff support to the
Absolutely
board on that board.
Yep.
I-70 is obviously a full court press. I don't think it's individually named anywhere, but the long range planner will be absorbing most of that knowledge as well as us continuing to push those issues as they come up. IT system, we can I will talk to IT about that and get back to you about what the next plan is.
Okay, but you
Largely-
have been talking to them.
we largely have done everything we think we need to do to get more sustainable. The question that we have for sustainability financially on our IT system is looking at Thor.
Is looking at four, what?
Thor,
Oh, okay.
Thor, the fiber
Yes.
system, which is a different conversation, but is in the goals.
Since we're talking IT, I gotta ask,
Mhm.
what about the dual server situation? To my knowledge, we have not landed the plane on understanding whether our architecture is over calibrated.
What I apologize, George. We gave that presentation to the board like third quarter of last year, and I thought we had settled on us being done. We've replaced the entire architecture with that new,
I hadn't heard.
yeah,
that
with
today.
the new system that was presented to the board in that meeting with just the two servers,
Okay, sorry, I forgot. Thank you.
right? And we're about 650 to 800,000 down in our capital liability over a 5-year cycle for that.
Good.
For that
Thank
two
you.
system, for
Thank
that two dual system. So really where we're focusing IT's effort now is PC modernization, Windows 11 and dual authentication for computers.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank
and
you.
Thor, figuring out a future for.
Okay.
And then, yes, finance is my goal too.
I know, I'm supportive. Thank you, George.
Apologize to everybody. I've got little lists of goals and different documents.
Okay, should we move on to Jody as you gather them?
It's Jody. Well, on the agenda, we were in a District 3 next.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Commissioner Hartman Ball, what are your goals?
So first off, I would like to continue working with staff to build trust. Big important thing for me. Second is Charlie's Place, which is being taken care of already. Town halls, I would like to continue doing town halls for this year. I think that was really important to get out in the public, especially for them to understand our budget and maybe why we can't, work on some of the unmaintained roads or different things. I also agree with Rebecca on the budget, and I'm not saying that we have to have it straight this year, but definitely that has got to be a goal of ours, is to get that budget under control, whether we find more funding for different things. And I know it's tough right now, but keep your eyes open and try to spend less. The building assessment was also on Colton's. It's important to me to keep working with the municipalities on economic development. Especially with Georgetown, as it's, really struggling. I think Idaho Springs is seeing some falling off with the lack of snow. So hopefully, between us and them, we can invent other reasons why people come up to Clear Creek County and spend money. Get in the Dr. Cog's NPO, which we're working on. And keep trying to, pressure them so we can get that done at least this year. And this is a personal goal for me, is to lobby them for childcare, because I do believe it's infrastructure. I think that that's something that a lot of other people think is important, and I probably won't shut up about that as long as I'm attending Dr. Cog meetings. NOCO, this is a partnership that will be dealing with the human waste study. So they will be reaching out to you more. JD Tanner is going to come up with Alexis, and he's actually agreed to drive around Clear Creek County with her, probably depending on how much snow we have. I don't see much snow, so it's probably going to be earlier than we thought. So he can figure out some areas he can send up some kind of a schooling college or something to get that done. And then Ryan North has talked about doing a water study as well, and those two could coincide with each other. And we have suggested maybe the DLD area because, and I don't know if he has emailed you yet, because we just don't know what water is available, what's going on with the fractures. And so I gave Ryan North, Lisa Laban's number, yours, and then Solve's Steve Coffin. So there's that. And then I know this probably isn't going to happen because of the current Fed administration, but still keep the DLD area, like the Safer Streets grant that we went for, just keep that in our minds that if we see something that we could apply for. And then did we ever make a decision or find out about the paid parking at the wellness center?
We just got the contract back from Interstate and today.
Okay,
So Peter will review it.
perfect.
There was a lot of issues with the original contract. They've taken care of most of them. So it'll come to the board either probably on the 17th
Okay.
for approval. And then we've already planned a lot of that.
Most of my stuff on my list is like already rolling. So the other one, and we did kind of mention this when we had round one, was we are really constricted with our trailer park codes on what people can do, like replacing trailers. And David said he was already gonna look into that. So that's another one.
Yeah, I think the general code update that exists on Garrett's team's plan, it will include the trailer park issues.
Okay.
We know it's a goal of the board, and it would be part of a larger group of changes that will come all at once.
And I think the residents, the people that live in the trailers and the people that, just want to get rid of them because of the eyesore or whatever reasons, I think that's a win-win. If we can make them safer for people to live in and not kind of trap them where they're at. So, and that's it. That's it for me.
Okay, so just talking through these, so obviously Charlie's Place is still on there. The town halls, I think is probably worth a discussion with your other board members on how you guys want to handle that.
Yeah.
Is it going to be more of like a budget roadshow, which what I did? I think we've talked that to death. Maybe we could do
Yeah.
more of a Q&A town hall.
We could even, some of the questions that we get frequently, maybe a roadshow on that.
A roadshow on roads?
Roadshow on roads. The reasons why we can't go up to some of these places and take care of their roads. It's not financially feasible. There's a lot of confusion on that. I don't know what other
So
issues.
secondary non-maintained.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a huge one for us. And then, of course, code enforcement. A lot of people, reporting trash properties and illegal living habitats. So I don't know if you guys have any other subjects.
I do. A lot of what I had was already stated, and so I've been trying to delete it. So we already budgeted for this, but hire a lobbyist, get a county fiscal reform bill drafted in 2026. Not super stuck on this specific language. It's hard to set a goal now when we really are talking about something we need to happen in 27. But if we don't focus on it this year, it's not going to happen next year. If I may, I'd like to ask a question of the sheriff.
Absolutely.
I had on my goals, and this is a hangover from last year. Get Avis cameras systems online. What's the Avis acronym? The speed enforcement, the speed enforcement cameras.
Okay.
Is that a goal that you have? If it's a goal you have this year, I'd love to see us have a goal of supporting you in that.
Yes, we have been in discussion about that, and that's probably going to be coming up into spring and early summer. But we are still looking at that. So,
Okay.
And those are not flap cameras, right?
no, those.
Sheriff, could you just come up here? Would you mind?
Sure.
Thanks. This way the camera can get you in the video.
Now I'm having to get a workout.
So the question for the audience was the difference between the speed cameras and flock cameras.
Well, the speed cameras and plot cameras are completely different. The speed cameras, they're really limited to where we can place them. They have, by statute, there's certain areas that we can and cannot use speed cameras on. The flock cameras we can place them wherever we want, and they are only license plate readers. The speed cameras, what they do, they will, whatever you set the posted speed limit at, and then if you're exceeding that limit, the company that manages that, they're the ones, the one we're looking at, there's no fee associated with it up front. they just take a percentage off of the
Take
fines
payments, fine
fines
payments.
that are submitted.
The payments or the fines we impose?
They take a percentage of, if I'm correct, the percentage of the payments.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So that is, like I said, that's going to be still in the works. It's probably late spring, early summer.
I mean, in my mind, and this is just because this is who I hear from most, it's three. I hear
Yes.
around the community, but specifically, I hear, maybe it's just because this is my district, but I hear a lot from the people like,
Right, it's part of my district too.
well, on the Idaho Springs side of one.
Yeah, so on the Echo
Um,
Hills side, I hear
You
about
hear
it, yeah.
Okay. So
That is
Um,
definitely one of the areas we're looking at.
to the capacity concern, curious, it seems like the support that this board would need to ask of our staff to your office is really the county attorney's office. This is an awkward time to bring up the fact that we forgot to ask you what your goals were.
It's not an awkward.
Well, there's no time that's entirely comfortable. So I'll just ask you if you think, like, what's your sense of your bandwidth and the impact on your office of the board saying, we have a goal of supporting the sheriff's office of getting AVIS cameras online this year?
To the extent that my role is to review contracts and related matters pertaining to it, I can assist.
But it would be the DA that would enforce
The traffic
tickets
tickets,
if somebody,
nope,
They're civil.
they're civil.
Civil.
even if somebody fails to pay?
Mm-hmm. My understanding, it being a civil matter, then they would take them to collections.
Right.
Okay.
Would not be issued FTA warrant or anything like that.
So even if somebody were going, 40 miles above the speed limit?
I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that because it's a speed camera, it's still a civil matter.
I think you're right.
Oh, okay. So if an officer observes somebody.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So if the role is, how else beyond which we already do customarily, the efforts of our county attorney, anything else you need from us?
Regarding that, no.
Finance would support them in making sure that the payments are getting posted correctly and processed with the contract, because we don't know how they would pay us.
So then I'll
Exactly.
ask you the same question. Does it give you concern to know that the board might say, put this on the board's goal list?
No, I think if the sheriff's office is taking lead on getting the contracts reviewed by legal and all we're doing is figuring out how to get paid, we can do that.
So then, and I'm not assuming that means that now it's a board goal. Like, I know we have to go through our whole conversation. Figure out next steps in DLD was on my list too. We lost the Safer Streets grant. I don't know if that means finding another grant. I'm all for, actually, I think the most appropriate next step is to try to investigate groundwater supply.
Yeah, and I believe that was Jody's, what's what you meant by water issues, right? Was water availability.
Yeah, and we have somebody from the School of Mines that's willing to take that up with some students, so.
That'd be great.
So I like that one. I also, one of the things that popped up on my list was evaluate the impact of 1A. And kind of reestimate public safety finance needs. We had, I don't want to forget anybody. Well, it was EMS and fire in the sheriff's office that we were talking about that had financial needs. We ran a ballot measure that was intended to partially fund the gap on EMS and fire. Glad you're still sitting here for this. Sheriff was not included. And so a goal could be to understand how far 1A got us in terms of meeting the needs of CCEMS and fire, as well as understanding what our next steps are related to the sheriff's office. So that's a potential goal.
To comment on that, George, just to help, I think that would go a long way with advancing a combining conversation too between EMS and fire. Right, because if we can derive efficiencies from them combining, then that makes the remaining public safety gap not as big. Right, So I think those are interchangeable. That's a whole conversation. Because one directly affects the other one in a very real way.
Yeah, yeah.
George, I'm also curious that we had that conversation with the IGA. How much would that affect the budget of them if the municipalities were to pay the same amount that the unincorporated are paying?
That's another part.
And directed to the fire authority and not EMS, because they're paying the same amount that the ESGID is to the fire authority
Right.
right now. So anyway, we can do the math on
Just
that.
another way of funding
Yeah.
for them.
My concern is that we work so hard to get 1A passed, to let people know that this will make them safer and get more money to our fire authority and EMS. And I would be very reluctant to go back to the voters for more money for fire and EMS this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I'm not proposing that we would do that to know if we're getting back on the ballot this year, but just kind of to have. And maybe now this isn't sounding like a great argument, but with respect to fire and EMS, to have an understanding of how close we got so that we know like whether fire and EMS related ballot measures need to continue to be in the mix or not, or over the next, say, 10 years.
Okay, okay.
Is what's in my mind there. Explore, I mean, so I know that fire CCFA has a lot of interest and including from their board in exploring potential merger. So I think the impact of saying this is a goal is that we reconvene the public safety finance team. We have a couple of meetings. We ask for presentations from the three agencies about like, what's your financial situation today? I'm curious, what's on your mind, Sheriff Thornton?
I'm not really sure how to answer that, seeing as how we were, as sheriff's department or sheriff's office was kind of excluded from that. Hoping that with that passage, it's giving them CCFA and EMS, giving them the funding they need. And if there's any way to next 3 to 5 years revisit this where we're included, that would be extremely helpful. I know it's probably not feasible at the moment or the next year or so to look at that. But we would be very interested in being included in that.
Okay.
And also with the understanding that FPPA will cost the county more
Yes.
to support your guys.
Mhm.
So then, I mean, this is a great segue into the next thing that I had on my goal, which is make a tax proposal. I think we need to continue to have a very live conversation with the voters about the tax rates and the service levels and all of that. I'm intentionally being agnostic about the specific tax proposal. Nicotine appeared in your list. How did that?
I revised it. I took it off and just made it more general.
So that's already on there.
I was more talking about making sure that county staff, because the tax proposal largely will come in direction of the board. But what I want to make sure is that county staff supports y'all whenever you need it from an information perspective and also sets up any self-collection mechanisms that we need to set up in case someone does pass. Because largely, unless we're talking about a mill increase of some capacity, we're going to need to self-collect an excise tax. So that's where my goal was focused.
Okay, so if we don't get the state to allow us to do an excise tax on recreation, but we do want to increase tax or propose a tax increase on nicotine, there's currently a county tax on nicotine, right?
It is a state tax right now. Counties have the ability to do an excise tax on nicotine, but we have to self-collect. We cannot rely on the state to collect that for us. So like we collect our excise on marijuana, we
Okay,
would need to set up a system and make sure staff's ready to do that.
thank you.
So I think actually it makes sense. If you've got a goal that says largely support the board in evaluating tax proposal options, and then we have a goal that says, consider a tax proposal, probably shouldn't say make a tax proposal.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things. on my mind, that would be either lodging tax, nicotine, public safety sales tax, or, I mean, it's not completely out of this world to think about, like, what would a 1 mil increase with a specific use look like?
I would have to remind you, in my area, a lot of people's taxes went up by $700 from last year. And in the last 5 years, my personal taxes have went up by $1,200.
Yeah.
And I have one resident on my block that is probably going to lose her home because of it. So we have to be very conscious on who we're hitting with these taxes.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you,
Then-
Judy.
Then I have, I would love to see us finalize a document what the I-70 team looks like. When I was elected, this organization knew who was on first, second, and third with respect to I-70 negotiations, and that has kind of dissolved. And before I leave office, I'd like for us to know what that process and what that team looks like. It's one of our most important issues.
I think that's a good one.
And we actually are very close to that. We have that information, so we'll be able to satisfy that goal very quickly.
Okay. I think we should should conduct a 360 review of our direct reports. Next, we've already made this commitment, but I think it's worth putting it into the goals to make sure that we get it done and that we're reminding ourselves to get it done, to do the psychological safety work that our staff team asked for. And integrate that into our organization in an ongoing way. We have heard from that consultant that without our direct, consistent engagement, we're not likely to get the outcome that staff asked us to try to get to. So that's,
Why is that a concern? I thought that was all set up and we were moving forward with that.
in my mind, it's kind of similar to the review. Like, I know it's something we've already committed to, but if everything on our goals list is new, we might forget some of the old stuff. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, we already have meetings set up for psychological safety. We had the first one and we've got another one coming up.
I
You
think
just want it
could-
on a list of priorities, so it's.
Yeah, I wanted to show on a list of
Alright.
priorities so that as we're reviewing our goals, we're reminded that we need to be focused on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the consultant is going to be here for a short period of time and we can either after a couple of meetings with the consultant, say, awesome, great work, everything's fixed. Or we can say, now it's our job to own this and usher this forward and continue to make sure this is part of our organization. Jody, you already mentioned economic development. The way I had written it was increase economic development investments from the county alongside our partners. I think we should be trying to lead the way and get the municipalities as well to find the right way to invest in economic development capacity. I also would like to see us as a board establish some board policies. There's a real old document that I don't think we've I don't know that it's ever been shown to you. It was developed by no one is still in the county who was part of developing it.
Wow,
Um,
sure.
and I have a lot of thoughts about what good board interaction looks like.
I like this. In his last year, he's gonna come up with the 4 policies for us to follow.
What I really like, what we've done in this interim space is informally build a lot of habits that I think are beneficial. And I'd like to keep the writing, basically.
I think the board's changed too, and right now we have 3 like-minded people, and that may not always be, so.
I had paid parking on county lots. And I had organic waste diversion and recycling access. Those are both covered. PUC, and I want those, that's covered. So I'm just gonna like take that. Just 1 second to just like review my notes and make sure that I'm not missing something.
While he's doing that, I don't know that this is a goal, but we were sent the letter from Julie from the Goose's office. And when I looked over everybody that got grants for the last cycle, I think I sent it. to you.
Congressional directed
Yeah, Clear
spending.
Creek was not on the list and there was some significant
saw
amounts
that.
of money that were given. And I just thought, A, I was jealous, and B, hoping that we have a few things that we submit this year for the next cycle.
Yeah, we can definitely submit. Erica is working on that now. She's going through our capital list to see. And then if there's something on there that's a good fit, maybe we can explore outside, but generally that's to capital investment. It's usually to like fixed things that they can put their name on and,
I know the sheriff's department got 1.2 million.
Our sheriff?
ours.
No, in
Oh,
Summit County.
Summit
No,
County.
Clear
Yeah.
Creek got zero.
Yeah.
What? I had our sheriffs, I was thinking, well, geez, what if we would have got,
Right.
Childcare was on the list, some other infrastructure things.
So I think we will definitely provide back to you guys what we think our internal priorities are, but with congressional directed spending, I would encourage the board to come up with a consensus on if there's anything outside of the county that they want to support on, because a lot of times,
You mean not physically outside the county, but not.
no, like not, sorry, outside the county government,
Mhm.
right? So like childcare, right? That's not us, right? We can provide support or if a nonprofit is working on something, right? Too.
I was also thinking like the DLD area would maybe be a big fit for that. Or maybe that's just such a small amount of money they would get for that project. I don't know.
You mean for the road safety?
Yeah, for the road safety. I don't know if it needs to be studied. I hope not. But, yeah, to come up with some other safe solution for that area.
Oh, I see. So in lieu of the SS4A, look at the congressional district.
Just because at the Fed level, I don't really see us getting any money for quite a while.
Let me look. Let me see if that's eligible, but yes. Okay.
And if there's other projects, I don't want to overwrite anything, but if we're not coming up with something else, that is something that we could put in there. The only thing that sucks is she sent it to us and it's like.
The
due in-
second.
Yeah.
I know, we're working.
Second of
March.
We're working on that now internally. I will say that our staff's advice has been that this federalizes any project, which makes them colossally more expensive. So whatever we do, we need to be careful. Because I've in my career experienced that trap a little bit where you get
Right.
like a little bit of federal money and then it makes the project so much much more expensive that then it's not worth the money you got.
Right.
So
Well, and if it's like the childcare one, it's like for half of the project, so now they're kind of stuck and.
yeah, and that's what happened with
gotta move
trails a
forward
little
with the
bit.
Same one, yeah.
Right. And so we're gonna look through our list. Tentatively speaking, and not saying this is not the only recommendation with staff, because they still have it, is generators. The PAP, the public, the preventative power, I forget the acronym, the shut off of
PSPS.
Public.
SPS,
Yeah.
sorry.
Safety power.
Really did demonstrate that we have a real lack of generator capacity in this county. So we think that that might be one that, given what's happened recently and given the dry summer we're about to go into, might get some traction, but we're gonna look through our
That's a
list.
great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, road and bridge, it looks like road and bridge infrastructure is eligible. It's just the amount of money we would need. I don't know if it's enough, but we can look into it.
And maybe for their facilities, the building there, if you have projects, because you're talking about combining some areas now.
Mhm.
So it sounds like make a CDS proposal. We'll either will or will not have done that by the time we're actually passing a final goals list. So
Mhm.
maybe
CDS.
congressionally directed spending is what they were just talking about.
Mhm.
Um, I think that is, I mean, we've got like most of the stuff that was really important to me appeared on the staff lists. Can I ask you, I see in my notes from the CCEMS portion of our conversation I had asked them what they thought about adding a goal around increasing coordination with CFA and continuing to explore shared resources from joint training to a merger.
That is on their goals. I apologize. I probably didn't update that slide.
It didn't show up, but if it, like, I can drop it off of a board goal list if it's going to be part of theirs.
I think it's better as a board goal list because ultimately that decision sits with y'all,
Okay.
right? That's a very huge organizational wide shift for the county. And I think that sits better as a board goal than as a staff goal. Only other than supporting those conversations, you know. That can only be passed by a lot of resolutions.
And Aaron did say that they do a lot of training together already, so.
And we know it's a board goal for the CCFA board too, so Jeremy and Aaron have been talking quite frequently about this already.
Okay, good. So then I'm good with it staying on the board goals list if y'all are, but I don't think I have anything else. I'm sure I can find other little things, but I'm feeling really good. Obviously, what the three of us have come up with is we probably need to pare down. Has anybody been taking good enough notes to see
Me,
what's unique?
yes. So I'm gonna hopefully exclude in this conversation anything that I think is covered by a staff goal.
Mhm.
I heard,
Okay.
at least 85% of it is.
But keep notes about
Yes,
where we
it's all
definitely
on here.
support each other.
Yes. So I think where we need to pare down, so the unique goals that I have are the town halls, which I think need a longer conversation. Economic development already appears on my list, so I will just pair it to some of the guidance I've gotten today. The Dr. Cog MPO, in relation to just getting into the MPO, I think is part of a larger 70 coordination goal, I think, that might be
But
unique.
Have they sent you forms to fill out yet?
No, but I was at the TAC yesterday, the Dr. Cog TAC, the advisory committee, to speak on the benefit of us being in the MPO with Gilpin,
Wonderful. Okay.
and did not hear a lot of resistance in that room. So
Okay.
now it's just getting through the governor's office and the bureaucratic process. It
Mhm.
seems to me is where we're at.
That's the way I
Not
felt
to
when
speak for
Rebecca
Dr.
presented
Cog.
too.
Yeah, there
Wasn't a lot of pushback.
there was some hard questions from some of the municipalities who I think are concerned about what this does to their allocation. But we're honestly so small that they basically told them it wouldn't even be a rounding error. So, but you know, there's a lot of benefits for us being part of that conversation. So I didn't hear a lot of resistance in the room, honestly. So I think that can be joined into a more unified 70 goal, including the delegation of duties, getting in the MPO. MPO is childcare. I think,
It is?
no, I think that
That's
goal
my goal.
Yeah,
is more at the board level, but I think
It's
staff.
definitely,
Staff
and sometimes they acknowledge it and sometimes they don't.
So this goal, I meant to ask you about it and then the conversation got away from me. This is a goal that Dr. Cog name childcare as infrastructure.
Yeah, that is my goal, to keep implanting that into their ear every time I go to
Right.
Dr. Cog. Because,
Because they have a council on aging, but not on childcare.
yeah, well, so we
Housing.
had a retreat last summer and Mayor Harmon was there and some others, and we were talking about what are some other things that Dr. Cog could implement. And I don't know if they didn't expect it or what, but childcare was all over the board.
Mhm.
I mean, it was one of those.
It wasn't just us.
You do on your phone, it was childcare, 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 childcare. So Mayor Harmon's like, you're right, because I said childcare right off the bat.
Yep, I know you have.
I was not the only one thinking it, so, and then they've kind of ignored it since. And then, I'll talk to some of the members there that, I think they agree with it, but maybe they're overwhelmed right now, I don't know.
I wonder the extent to which, I mean, Dr. Cog, especially the MPO, largely takes federal dollars that have rolls around them and invests them. I wonder the extent to which that's actually like a federal policy change that is needed.
If
I'm
it's,
speculating a little bit here.
but if they do elderly care, aging,
Mhm.
why would there be aging and not childcare?
If my speculation is correct, it would be because the feds are saying, here's some money to invest in aging.
Well, then we need to put something in the Fed's ear too,
Um,
because it's failing across the United States. It's not just, if you look at what other countries invest in childcare, we're not even close.
What if a board goal surrounding childcare was more expansive, right? Like we've got a scholarship program that we're trying to mature. We've got, we've been having mayors and commissioners conversations. What do you think about?
I think we'd have to have some funding. I don't know. We do have Epic involved now. They got together, the working group got together yesterday after our working group to just talk about Epic. They're gonna go with them, I believe. And it will not cost them a dime because Epic has a grant to pay for it.
I mean, that's what I think would prefer, rather than something as narrow as get Dr. Cog to name childcare as infrastructure. I'd be like,
But I'm not the only one.
Right. No,
It's not
I
like I
think we
just
need to
dreamt it
keep
up.
pushing things on multiple fronts,
Cause when we
I-70
go,
issues,
we spend
childcare.
like 2.5 hours sitting there listening about a bridge that's in Westminster.
Yeah.
Or RTD, they're all mad because the light rail didn't go up to Fort Collins. So we spend a lot of time listening to things that just are not, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room that are thinking the same thing. But childcare affects all of us.
I'm not trying to argue that we shouldn't be making that argument with Dr. Cog. I'm suggesting that there's other stuff as well that we aspire to accomplish in the childcare arena.
Well, we'll keep working on that too.
And so maybe like I love having childcare as a board goal,
Mhm.
and I love phrasing it in a way that's fairly expansive. That also includes like, let's have this scholarship program be more efficient, equitable. Let's have, continue to make progress with our other jurisdictional partners on childcare investments, et cetera.
Well, I'm hoping when we have this conversation next year, we're like literally looking down the pipe of one of the childcare facilities getting closer to.
That's me. Okay, I'm sure you would agree with. What's next, Colton?
So I think expansive childcare goal, and I'll write these up and submit them for you guys as draft language. If we get approval on just like the list. Expansive 70 goal. So I think whole plan, maybe, worded into where we're not dedicated to one particular path, but that we list all the options that we're exploring. Same with the childcare. So the NOCO, on the human waste / water quality, I think I would just, I will talk to Alexis and see if she can just add that to her list. That's fairly narrowly defined.
Yeah, and she already knows. We're actually going to be speaking for this meeting.
Okay.
Because she wanted some more clarification on what that all meant.
Mhm.
What she had never heard of the wastewater or the human waste study.
The
I'll explain that to her.
parking contract's already in the work. I think it was a goal last year. It just has taken us a little bit to get to the finish line, but we're this close.
Good.
So I don't think that needs to be listed as a goal. I do think the lobbyist probably needs to be one on y'all's list, only because it's very policy and politically driven, I guess, and what we need that person to do.
I already went out for that.
Yes. Oh, well, no, I have the RFP drafted. I sent it to y'all for comments. I'm just waiting for comments back to
Okay.
post it. Um,
I'm a little bit concerned that we're not on the agenda to discuss that. As far as hiring a lobbyist, I'm a little bit concerned about who responds in the middle of session.
right.
And I'm wondering if the right timing to publish that RFP is actually like after session. I mean, lobbyists are, their lifestyles, their workflow is, 60, 70 hours a week, January through May. And then in the summer, they get time to like think about who they want as clients and stuff. So, and maybe as far as the language on the goal, rather than say hire a lobbyist, it's just get a county fiscal reform bill introduced, right? Like,
I do think though that there was some room in the RFP around lobbying CDOT too for some of our other goals. So I think if we're talking about what we want that person to do, I don't think we've gotten clear direction yet without seeing applications. So I would just make it pretty vague of just moving that process forward. And then sorry here, I lost my place. Psychological safety board policies. We can do it typically like a general organizational culture work, which could encompass all of those things, board policy, psychological safety, our reviews. And then one I do think we need to talk about a little bit more is the town halls. About what we want to do, handle that in subject wise.
Mhm.
How many did we
Here.
do last year? Was it like 5?
Well,
6.
It was 6 plus our meeting with Silver Plume.
Yes.
I'm so glad that made your list in that way.
Yeah, it was Georgetown, Floyd Hill, St. Mary's, Idaho Springs,
BLD.
Emerge, and DLD. Yeah, and the fire station. Yeah. 6.
Merge would be Evergreen.
So is that about the number that you'll want to do, or do you want to just maybe do a work session on this and talk about this more specifically?
My preference is the latter.
Well, we
Okay.
would need to specify it, but I agree that we need to do Evergreen to Silver Plume again.
Goals. Okay, so I'll do a work session coming up where we just get all this in order and then we can try to have a plan by the summertime.
Mhm.
Because that's usually easier.
Yep.
Okay. So right now,
Just
Go ahead.
colleagues, I could be convinced that less than 6 is appropriate. So
I don't know, we set a precedent last year and it was very popular everywhere we went. So,
I think what we would look to get out of the work session with y'all is we'll put on the boards list in a goal list is kind of a vague thing, but we'll need to have a work session to refine what are the subjects we're talking about, how many are we doing, and what the format could be, right? And like a true town hall, I think is a little bit different than we did last time because we gave presentations, and, that kind of stuff.
right. And also this year isn't putting people on notice that we may be asking for money. This year can be, the state of the county information.
Sure.
I mean, it could be. I'm of the opinion, and we got to get into this work session but so I'll just say it could be. I think our most important communication priority to the public is going to be educating about our fiscal situation
Mhm.
until our fiscal situation is resolved.
Mhm.
But
No.
settle.
I think that's definitely part of it.
Okay, so we've got the and then the last one, I think just a pretty broad bush on economic development still. And that includes partnering with, so I have pieces from a lot of different goals lists, like partnering with municipalities more, working with the EDC more, making sure that we have a unified policy, including, I think we've been kind of working in silos. I think this is the time for unification, right? Whether or not the county should or, go maybe apply for an EDC grant, or if that's better handled by the EDC.
Well, something that I'm sensing with
Clarity.
them is, like Georgetown's already pulled out, and then Idaho Springs has their own tourism person, development person, and I am worried about the silos, that everybody's kind of going into these separate ways when we're trying to bring everybody in and, what's good for all, because when we get people in the county, then we're spreading out, and that's kind of what I present even at NOCO, that, this is an economic thing that I think educating people when they come and doing the proper activities, and, maybe they shouldn't be out doing what they're doing. They could just be in town, walking around and watching the rafters go by. They don't have to do crazy things, and they would spend a little bit of money while doing that. So,
Yeah, I agree. Economic development is broader than just tourism, though. I think we
Right.
focused a lot on the tourist conversation. Like
bringing in businesses.
we need to talk about incentives, what kind of industries, what kind of commercial activities are trying to invest. Like, we got a lot of work to do on this front, so,
Yeah, and I think Georgetown has started a little bit of that too. They've got empty buildings. What could they do? You know, some tax leniency or something for so many years to get something started.
And another, I don't, this may be like a lawyer tap dance, but, our community keeps saying, well, you need to bring in more business to our community. But then when people have proposals, everybody pushes back. Well, I don't want the extra traffic in my area. So, we need to make the point that we can't have both, we need to decide what our priorities are. And, that's just,
This year
like-
is challenging Clear Creek to what we have advertised in the past. We've done this typical skiing, rafting. Well, now we've seen the skiing was a flop this year, and then that's also going to flow into the rafting. So what other things can people do here as a business, and what businesses do we have that people can visit that are not related to those two things?
mhm.
For what it's worth, my take is that is largely different segments of the community.
Mhm.
That just, that tension is always going to exist, and it exists everywhere.
But I think it's worth acknowledging.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Question.
Mhm.
Have you ever been to Wild Game in Evergreen?
Mhm.
Is that something that could work here? Do you know how successful they are?
I'm not comfortable talking about that in the public meeting.
Okay,
We can talk about it.
okay, that's just fine. For people's information, it's a event center in Evergreen where they have bowling and arcade games and restaurant, bar. Used to be our one movie theater, but now they have a lot of different things you can do. And I haven't been there very much since our son moved out, but it seemed popular.
I know it's definitely a fixture of the Evergreen community for sure.
It is for Clear Creek things too. I remember my kids,
Mhm.
yeah, when they did banquets after the sports and stuff, they did them there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think what I have is 5. Keep trying to just fix do the Venn diagram of the overlaps here. So
Uh-huh.
expansive childcare, expansive 70. Lobbyists in some capacity, I'll worry about how to word that. Sorry. The town halls and work session, economic development.
Town halls. We said that. Sorry, we said.
So, childcare, I-70, the lobbyist, the town halls, and economic development. Like a more cohesive economic development strategy, including using our partners rather than us doing it all.
I'm curious, Rebecca. I always think at the last step in my mind, my process is, okay, now what's missing? When I think about the huge issues we face, housing. And you can make an argument, well, we've got the housing authority, and that's now the housing authority's deal. We know we're going to make the investments. Do you feel like housing should appear on our goals list anywhere?
I put it on my goals list.
She did. We talked about it being,
We ignored it.
yeah, I didn't hear it on any other two, and largely staff will support the CCHRA. It's to what extent beyond that we are investing. We want the county to operate.
So I think, for what it's worth, I don't know. I feel like it's worth it to say, I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but
I think to me, I was just waiting for the housing authority to kind of get up and running right now. There's definitely some things in my neighborhood that they're just waiting for this to get going so they can start presenting things to them and get them involved and see how they can help in the communities, but that's hard to say right now
I agree.
with what's going on.
Yeah. We are, advertising for a new executive director and interviewing council next week. Or early March. Yeah, next week.
And then the last thing that I think, so sorry to land the plane on that. Do we agree then? Some kind of housing something?
Sure.
And then the other thing that we know we're working on that our folks might appreciate seeing is actually, we thought to put it on our goals list, forest health, fire mitigation. Right? That could, the phrasing could be something like work regionally and statewide to increase forest health investments in Clear Creek.
That is something you said Max is coming to present.
There's two separate subjects. They're gonna talk about their, well, my understanding right now, so don't hold me to this, but they're talking about specific mitigation projects that potentially would affect the county. I think they're gonna come and talk about whatever's going on. I don't know if the conversation is about general fire mitigation strategy with the Forest Service. I think they're a partner in a larger conversation, quite frankly, on that. We do have the position. We are waiting for CSU on that hiring for the fire mitigation planner that was funded in the budget through the CSU extension. They're having some budget issues too, so that might get delayed now. And then, yeah, I think there's a larger coordination. I think that's a worthy goal.
Because I saw
As
on
we
one
head
of
into a
those,
very scary summer.
Gilpin had received, it wasn't very much money, but they had received some money for fire mitigation.
Yes, and their a CSU extension person largely does their fire mitigation stuff, which is the kind of a little bit of what we're trying to copy.
So we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
I like it.
Okay, so childcare, 70, lobbyist. I cannot read my handwriting.
Town hall?
Sorry, the town halls, thank you, economic development and housing and fire mitigation. So that's 7.
Because everything else already showed up somewhere else, like
Yes.
taxes,
Charlie's Place, code changes. 70 showed up in a bunch of people's. I will work on getting NOCO integrated, your Jody, yours into Alexis's. And then yep. Speed cameras talked about. Yep, I think that's it.
And I feel like the NOCO part is just kind of a bleed over from last year.
A little bit, but I think it is good for our new public lands person to take a more direct role with NOCO, because I do think it's a little unsustainable for a commissioner with some of the tactical stuff.
Yeah, and then once we get that in place, that too could open it up to maybe some more money for management.
Yep.
board policies.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
So-
There should have, yes.
I have it on my list.
I was gonna say, there's 2 things that really maybe we could ask Peter to put on his list. And one is to facilitate us through board policies. And the other one is to support the Avis camera rollout. I presume you'll do that with or without direction, but
Thank you.
So something, since this is kind of my first round, like in this atmosphere, does the attorney not do board goals or do,
Oh, I just wasn't asked to do them, so
in
I
the
didn't-
past, have you?
not that I recall, not specifically, have I?
I think you did.
Well, the difference here is we are in a public meeting versus
Mhm.
some sort of executive session or something like that. So typically speaking, I wouldn't discuss.
And you have your assistant now?
Yes, we have Kathy Parker, who's our assistant county attorney, who's amazing, who will assist in. One goal that I can certainly talk about is just the fact that we will be redesigning, reworking, revising our planning and zoning regulations, our building regulations. There's a lot of material and we're making a list. That will also include STR regulations are going to be changed. So there's a lot of things like that. But the specific other things such as updating a variety of policies, that's something I would discuss in executive session.
Thank you.
That is fair. I think it was last year that you had a goal to hire an assistant.
Was that my only goal? That was awesome.
It was.
Yeah, like 11 months, but
You got there. The other thing that's missing is last year, and I don't know that we have to solve this, but as part of last year's process, you might remember we invited the other elected offices to write up goals and share with the board what their goals were. And so that we can have more of an organization wide, like here's our goals as an organization. Maybe at this point with where we are in this process, it's worth it to just say, hey, elected offices, if you've come up with any goals, we'll definitely put them into our document that we're going to publish.
Okay, I can offer that.
Is that, colleagues, that sound good?
Yes.
Yep.
And then let's try to remember as we work towards, it's going to be as early as this fall that we start to think about what 2027 goals are, that maybe we try to include them earlier in like, hey, we're doing goals. What about you?
Okay.
I mean, they might have goals and we just need to ask them.
You know, as we've discussed this today, my number one goal was to get our fiscal house in order. And I think that kind of underlines everything we have here.
Yes.
Just like last year our goals document had a mission.
Yep.
Right. And it was like overarching, everything here is about financial sustainability.
Yep. I think here it's a little bit more expansive, but we can definitely word the mission toward that's the underlying thing.
All right. So are we done with the
I feel like maybe not the 3rd, but definitely by the 17th, you guys will get a document that I will write up and make this all official that you guys can pass in a meeting. And then I'll send drafts out to y'all early for comments so that hopefully that'll be a pretty clean session. I don't want to edit the document too much in the session. So I'll send you guys individually.
very good. Thank you, Colton.
I have one more. Just about the timing of our goal setting process. It's late February. We're at the end of Q1.
Yeah.
We'll be in Q2 when we set our goals. Do we want to try to start this process for 2027 goals earlier?
I think what I would like to do going into next year, now, again, we have once again some transition in finance for the budget process, but I would like the goals to be part of the 2027 budget process. Because that's where it really needs to be, because then we make sure that the goals that we set for the board are actually funded in some kind of way, and we have that conversation all at once. So yes, it
We're kind
would,
of in the middle of Q1, isn't it?
yeah, it was a little late for me, and yes, and I definitely think I needed to start this process earlier, but as far as the new revised budget process, which starts earlier in the year than we did last year, where we had a bunch of meetings at the last second. My goal is to figure out how to make the budget process and the goal projects align to the budget. And then when you're passing the budget, you're passing your goals and everything is one, and then we're done.
I agree with
We're
that.
not done, but like you having a unified conversation rather than the goals coming after the budget, which the budget is in a lot of ways y'all's prioritization document. I would like them to be more integrated, and I'll just make sure that we start this process here. So it's a little bit more unstructured than I would have liked, but we're just catching up a little bit with.
I kind of feel like for me too, I was picking things that wouldn't cost.
Mhm.
I'm hoping wouldn't cost anything, especially out of people's budgets. So, more attainable things. And especially since the Fed, like, I'm sure even the directors would have liked to have presented other things, but we have no way to fund it.
Absolutely. It's more of a question of like, but it directly relates to a conversation about capacity.
Right.
So if you guys need more, if there's something you really think we need to do, we don't have enough capacity, the right time to kind of have that conversations in the budget process. Yes, I do appreciate that most of these were free.
Some of it work on our parts. too,
Yeah.
So. We just didn't sling stuff to people.
Some of the stuff though, like a 2026 goal of increasing investments in ED. That's a goal that we can realize this year when we pass the 2027 budget, right?
Economic development.
Yes. Yes, sorry, am I starting to get into letter salad again?
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll definitely revise the way this process works, and I think it would be better to have it more unifiedly incorporated in the budget process. And yes, we are at the end of February and doing this, which is a little late, but most of these we're already working on. So we're moving forward. None of this is a surprise to any of us. So
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. should we move on to executive session to discuss the CTIO letter?
That works great if you're ready, or unless you need a break or anything.
I
I can get my break in between.
For the beginning of the executive session on CTI.
I was assuming she would, is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, why don't we take a short break? And we'll be back at, is 10 of 1 okay with everyone, or should it be?
I honestly, what I need is to walk out of the room for a couple minutes before we start the executive session.
If you want, we can go and do the motion now. Let's just do it, take care of it, because it'll just be a quick
Mhm.
break, and then we'll just go right in.
Okay,
Okay? So I need a motion to move into executive session for the following reasons. So that would come from you.
okay. I move that the Board of County Commissioners move into executive session for consideration of approval of a letter from the board.
No.
No?
No decisions are made during an executive session. So
Okay, oh, thank you.
it's just move into executive session and I'll state the legal reasons.
I move the board move into executive session for the following reasons.
Pursuant to CRS 246402-4B and D for the Board of County Commissioners to confer with the county attorney for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions pertaining to the county's 1041 regulatory authority over peak period shoulder lanes and other transportation infrastructure matters, and determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators with regard to enforcing that regulatory authority.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We will be having a quick break and then moving into executive session. Thank you. Board of County Commissioners is back in session. We had an executive session at which there was no minutes taken and no decisions were made. And this concludes our meeting. Oh, sorry.
So the executive session, now that it's concluded, the board's back in regular session and there's one item that you had asked to be deferred on the vote. That's the consent item that was pulled from consent relating to CTIO and the draft letter.
Oh, right.
So
Thank you.
what staff is asking for is a motion to approve the letter subject to certain conditions and modifications that the board would want to make. I believe one of them related to an elimination, more of a Scribner's thing of eliminating a date and making that look better, as far as that goes, for lack of a better legal term. And to address certain of the safety concerns and at least point out that without going into tremendous specifics, we still want to acknowledge that we have real safety concerns about a number of things related to I-70.
May
Feel
I?
free to take with that and then do what you want.
Very good. Thank you, Peter. We are back in session, and the executive session addressed the matters that our attorney just stated. May I have a motion supporting the letter as amended?
Okay, so the letter's not amended, just so we're clear.
Okay.
We had,
As discussed,
yes, well, and again,
and the
So-
staff as discussed, right?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I move we approve the letter. Thank you, from the board, from the BOCC to CTIO, subject to the changes that were articulated by Peter.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Action passes. Thank you.